Hey guys, Ms. Cologne here. I'm going to show you or review with you Unit 2. This is going to be a two-part series. So this is just part 1, which mainly focuses on COPs and recognizing what makes it a proportional relationship or not. So we're going to look at a few of these problems. Go over them and review and see if you remember what we've done in Unit 2. So, the table below shows a relationship between the number of hours worked and the amount of money earned. Okay? Is this relationship proportional? So this is something we need to answer. So this is more of a yes or no. If so, what is the COP? Your constant of proportionality. We need to review something. Our COP is typically that magic number, and we usually find it in the value of y over x. So if you're given a table and you're finding the magic number, you need to remember, label your table, okay? That means I want to know how much money in 1 hour of work, not 2, 4, 6 hours. Now, you could pick either a ratio and on each value and write it as a ratio, and I'm going to show you all 3 ways. You should still get the same answer. Because we need to first determine, is it a proportional relationship? So in order to determine that, you have to test each value. So I need to do y over x. So in this case, we're going to do 30 over 2. We're going to do 60 over 4. And then we got to do 90 over 6. Now, if you use a calculator, 30 divided by 2 is 15. 60 divided by 4 is 15. And 90 divided by 6, you guessed it, 15. In order for it to be proportional, all of the values needs to be the same. And in this case, it is. So, answering the question, is this proportional? Yes. If so now, because I say it's a yes, what is the COP? Well, that's the magic number I kept getting. So you say, yes, the COP is 15. That's that magic number I got each and every time. Okay. Number 2, a graph passes through the points 0, 0, and 520. So does this graph represent a proportional relationship? So here's my other question. And if so, what is the COP? Well, you had to know for a graph, there was 2 scenarios, right? 1, it needs to be a straight line. And 2, it has to pass through 0, 0. Well, we already have one of the points being the origin. So this is already going to pass through that point, and it's going to pass through another point. And if you connect the dots, it does make a straight line. So this does represent a proportional relationship. So we will say yes. And then we need to find the COP now. So finding the COP, once again, it has to be written in the form y over x, meaning this is labeled your x value and this is your y. So you have to do y over x, or in this case, 20 over 5. And 20 divided by 5 gives you 4. That's how you solve that problem. Okay. Now, if I give you an equation, and this is usually the easiest way to find your COP. If I'm giving you an equation, your equation needs to look like y equals kx. Because k is your magic number. That is your COP. Okay? X represents the number of days. Y represents the number of pages. So is this a proportional relationship? Absolutely. This is a yes. Because it is written in the form y equals kx. And because this is a proportional relationship, you need to explain your reasoning and then state the COP. So you would say yes, because it is in the form y equals kx. Therefore, your COP is whatever that value is in front of x, and in this case, it is 7. Notice that I'm answering all the parts of that question. I didn't just say, yes, it's 7. I needed to answer, explain your reasoning. Well, it is in the form of y equals kx. That is why I say that this is a proportional relationship. Okay. Now, what if you're given down a scenario and we need to find the COP? It's not on a table, it's not in a graph, it's not in an equation. It's just a scenario. A recipe uses 3 cups of flour, for every 2 cups of sugar. Write an equation that represents the proportional relationship between flour, and they're telling me to use F as flour, S as sugar, and then I need to answer the question, what is the COP? So I cannot write my equation, and your equation is supposed to look like in the form y equals kx. I cannot do that until I can figure out what is the relationship. So flour will represent your y, and the reason why I say is your y, you need to look for keywords such as whatever your y value is per, or whatever your y value is for every, whatever your y value is for each. That means your flour is your y value per se, and your cups of sugar is your x. So when I write it in words, y over x, because you need to find your magic number, y represents your flour, and x represents your sugar. Be very careful how you read the word problem. Okay. So now let's put my numbers together. Well, 3 cups of flour goes with flour. 2 cups of sugar goes with sugar. So I need to find my magic number so I can write my equation out. So 3 over 2 can mean the same as 1.5. Now, if you use Desmos, it will give you the decimal value. But if it gives it to you in a fraction and you can use that fraction button, you still are left with this number. For now, we're going to leave this as 1.5. So I found the COP. What is the COP? This is the COP. Now that I found the COP, I need to write my equation. So my equation should be y equals in the form kx, but I need to use F and S for sugar and flour. So your y value is flour. So that means F goes in place of y equals 1.5 is your K. And instead of using X, you have to use S for sugar. There is my equation, and there is my COP, which I just answered both parts. All right. Last but not least, we'll do one more. You are given a table now. The table below shows the cost of buying apples by the pound. Pounds of apples, cost. Is the relationship between pounds and cost proportional? And if so, what is the constant proportionality? So we have to answer, is this proportional? So it's either a yes or no. And they're saying if it is a yes, what is the COP? So again, in order to find out if it's proportional on the table, you need to check the relationship between pounds and cost. So again, I'm going to label X and Y, because your ratio needs to be Y over X every single time to get that number. So you're going to have to test it all 3 times. So I got to do $2.50 over 1. You need to do $5 divided by 2. And you need to do $7.50 divided by 3. Now, if you divide all of these, 2.5 divided by 1 is 2.5, or 250. $5 divided by 2 is $2.50. And then $7.50 divided by 3 is also $2.50. And like I said, if you get the same value all the way across, that means this is proportional. So my answer is yes. What is my constant of proportionality? Well, my constant of proportionality is whatever the magic number kept appearing, which gives me 2.50 So you can say 2.5 or 2.50. That is all the review for part 1 for now for unit 2. Please go back and check if you want to try these by yourself and work it out. Have a good evening.